Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Hello, Vince, I am from the UK. Eileen, Cherokee Descendant Dale, Christopher, Nicole, Silent D, Kathy B, Eileen, HH, all right. Brandon, I see you, Dragon Lily, Kathy B. So let's get into it, everyone. Okay. Vince says, so glad to be on time on my favorite channel on ScrewTube. Phew, it's been a while since I got here live. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so let's get into it. So listen, I have prepared a PowerPoint for you all. Hey, King Legine and Erica, Trisha, Melanated Brown is in the house. Okay, so I have prepared another PowerPoint presentation because I've had numerous requests for when I come back on this channel to use PowerPoints, because I guess that helps some people to better retain the information, because you're not only hearing it, you're actually seeing it. And also, if you have any questions or things that you forgot, you can just come back to the channel and pull up the PowerPoint and just go through the slides, right? Okay, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. King Legine said, class is in session. Absolutely, beloved. You're welcome, Claudette. All right, Abiola, I see you. Yosef, Yasef. I think I said that right. Yahosef. Okay, Yahosef. I got it. Okay, so let's get into it, beloved. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this PowerPoint. Hold on just a moment. Hold on just a moment. Okay. There we go. Okay, so let's get into it, people. Let's get into it. Okay, spiritual healing. Now, spiritual illness, okay? That is one of the things we need to discuss when we're talking about spiritual healing. Okay, it's called malady. Not melody, but malady, which means disease or some sort of illness. Many people who are seeking spiritual healing, of course, they're spiritually ill, spiritually diseased, right? Now, all the roots of most chronic physical, mental, and emotional illnesses is a basic wound, a lurking spiritual malady, which is a illness, something that's lurking that you may not even realize or know. That could be something that happened to you in your childhood trauma. Maybe you were abused as a child, neglected, felt unloved, or you were bullied, had low self-esteem. Any of those things can cause spiritual malady, okay, which is a disease of the spirit. Now, the basic philosophy that accompanies most spiritual healing traditions is that when we are disconnected from the divine, we are severed from true well-being. Okay, you have to stay in touch with the universe, the Most High, and with your inner self, your spiritual self. Because remember, we're all born spiritual. Spiritual beings living a human existence. And the way to have true well-being is to be spiritually sound. That's why I always reiterate to you guys that your mental health is just as important to maintain as your physical health. Now, since the divine is the source of our energy or our life force, when we are alienated from it, we experience numerous illnesses that manifest in endless form. And the purpose of these illnesses is to help us reconnect with our divine inner center to the point, to point the way back to wholeness. That's how you become spiritually whole. And so there's lots of things that you can do to be spiritually ill. You could be in a toxic relationship. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship. It could be a friend, right? It could be a friend that you're dealing with that is taxing, on you, that is hating on you, or someone who's always negative, always talking down and not lifting you up. All of these things and people like this, which are negative, of course, and I call them psyche vampires, as you know, you should stay away from these people because they cause you a great degree of spiritual distress, which is never good. Now, it's a path of healing. Why is spiritual healing essential? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, it's a path of healing, of reuniting us with our true spiritual nature, the way we were born into this world to be. Okay, now, but not all approaches to spiritual healing are healthy. In fact, it's wise that we practice discernment and caution. We need to look out for ourselves because there is the possibility of being used by so-called spiritual healers and preyed upon by false ideas. Now, what is that all about? You may ask. Well, there are some people who are nefarious, and these people don't have your best interest in mind. Hey, Mark Ayers from the UK, I see you, beloved. Mr. Mystical Black Realms, Claudette. So there are some people who don't have your best interest in mind, and they're not really trying to help you. They're using you as a way to generate revenue for themselves. And so even when you have been spiritually healed and you've gotten past the issues or whatever, they won't let you know that. They'll just keep acting like there's still something wrong, or in fact, they won't help you to heal it all. They'll just give you a bunch of, talking points and lessons that are not going to help you with what you're doing. And what will happen instead is you'll still have these ailments. You may still be harboring resentments, anxiety, trauma, and all of these things. Those things will still be within you. And then later, when something triggers those emotions, then they resurface. And now you find yourself right back to square one. The person didn't do anything. They simply played you to get money for themselves. There's a lot of people, honey. There's people that sell online courses and they're not giving you anything substantial. There's people that claim that they have downloads and they're supernatural. Well, just remember, when people tell you things like that, some of us are, in fact, supernatural, and some of us do, in fact, have spiritual gifts. But some of those spiritual gifts come from Satan himself. Let's not forget that malevolent spirits, entities, right? They also exist in the spiritual realm. Not only light beings and light workers, spiritual things of that nature, but also dark entities, malevolent spirits. So you have to be careful because there's some people who say they get downloads, and they absolutely do. But the only thing is they don't get them from the Most High and from the universe. They actually get them from nefarious demonic energies and entities. All right. That's why it's very important to practice discernment and to pray for discernment. Now, spiritual healing is the practice. What is spiritual healing? It's the practice and experience of restoring, harmonizing, and balancing our spirits or soul. Now, some of the ways you may do this is having your chakras balanced. I have a holistic friend who's also a holistic doctor who's also a friend of mine, and she actually balances my chakras every now and then. Okay, I also go to her for acupuncture, which helps me with some other spiritual ailments. Okay. And this is all very good because you're able to channel more positive energy and release more toxic, negative energy when you have your chakras aligned and balanced. Okay. So now, with that all being said, spiritual healing is also seen as a transcendental experience, right, of reconnecting with our true nature, as the author and teacher Shakti Gawan writes, saying that spiritual healing occurs as we begin to consciously reconnect with our essential being, our essential self, the wise, loving, powerful, creative entity that we are at the core. Okay, because melanated people are spiritual by nature. You are spiritual from the core. You do not gain your spirituality from religion. Although I don't I don't have any problem with religion. Personally, whatever religion you choose to practice is absolutely fine, but don't confuse the two, because religion is something that we are taught and that's passed down to us. As I told you a couple of broadcasts ago, religion is far different from spirituality because you are born spiritual. You enter this existence through the spiritual realm. And when you leave this existence, you exit through the spiritual realm. So you're already a spiritual being. That's why spiritual healing and spiritual awakening is very important. Now, for many people, spiritual healing is a crucial part of their spiritual awakening journey. By revealing and soothing the wounds that other modalities, such as psychology or nutrition, where they fail to heal, a doorway is open to deeper inner spiritual alchemy. In other words, spiritual healing can offer us the chance to grow and transform in a way that no other path can. Well, because spirituality, when you're a spiritual being, you know how to manifest things. You use the art of visualization. You know that words cast spells, and so you choose your words carefully. You give yourself positive affirmations. You speak life into yourself and to others rather than saying hateful, mean, wicked things that tear people down and fill them with negative, dark, vibrational energy. And so when you are spiritually awakened and you are a spiritual person, these are some of the things that you practice because you know that this is going to help heal more so than anything else that you could do. More so than going to church for some people. Now, some people may choose church over spirituality. That's entirely up to you. But if you are in tune with your inner self, your higher self, and also in tune with the Most High and the universe, and you know about numerology and things like that, and you're just spiritually well-grounded, then you absolutely can heal yourself, your inner self, right? Your spiritual self. You can heal these things yourself. You don't have to pay someone hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's what some people mistakenly think. And these people who gather the money are not going to tell them any different. Now, natural spiritual healers. Many sensitive and receptive beings, such as empaths, which I am an empath, or old souls, are drawn to spiritual healing. Some even become spiritual healers themselves. For many spiritual seekers, spiritual healing becomes a regular part of their spiritual awakening path. Now, these are 5 types of spiritual healing that I'm going to talk to you about. The first is physical healing, and that's of the body. When you eat clean, you maintain a healthy diet, you drink lots of water, you stay hydrated, right? You keep the appropriate minerals in your body. When you're doing that, that's how you physically can heal the body. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just talking to you about spiritual healing. Now, emotional healing of the heart. So as you know, many people get stressed out. They get over anxious. They get, depressed, and they start having all these different feelings, thoughts, and emotions that worry them. And that can lead to heart attacks. Now, if you think about just a few days ago, one of the teachers who was killed in that shooting in Texas, her husband just a couple of days later had a heart attack. And some people said that he died from a broken heart, and he likely did because of the emotional stress and strain on his heart due to his spirit feeling that it was, devastated, right? Sometimes people feel like their spirit is dying. There's things that we do sometimes, and you may say, oh, this is killing my spirit. It means it's bringing you down. It's making you just feel like you're burdened all the time, making you have feelings of lonesomeness or, anxiety and depression and things like that. Now, mental healing of the mind. Mental health is very, very important. I always tell you all that. You have to take care of your mental health. Spiritual healing of the spirit or soul. That's when you want to practice your meditations. You want to practice your affirmations and all those things. Practice your breathing or doing yoga and things like that. Or speak with a spiritual healer. Holistic healing. That's of the body, the mind, and the spirit, and the heart. So if you're going to a holistic doctor, like I just told you about my friend who's a holistic doctor, as I said, she can balance my chakras. She uses acupuncture to also get, things flowing freely, to help me relieve stress, to get rid of toxins within the body and all of these things. So holistic health is very important. What types of spiritual healing do you need? Now, that's the question you should ask yourself. The type of spiritual healing that you'll need will depend on the following questions. First of all, ask yourself, what is your main struggle in life right now? Do you have more than one pressing issue? Now, asking yourself these questions can help you ascertain what type of spiritual healing you need at this moment. Now, depending on your answers, you'll be able to determine what type of spiritual healing modality you need. For instance, if you suffer from chronic pain for which no other methods seem to work, and also from depression, you would need physical and mental healing. Ideally, some kind of holistic healer would benefit you the most. Now, if on the other hand, you only have one issue, like an unshakable sense of grief from a lost relationship, or you may want to seek out healers who specialize in emotional healing. This is also good for someone who is grieving. If you have lost a loved one, if you're going through some type of illness that is keeping you depressed, same thing. Common types of spiritual healing include chakra healing. Like I said, having your chakras aligned and balanced. Crystal herbal remedies. I have told you all before about the use of crystals and crystal healing. If you missed that video, please go back and look it up. It's on this channel where I talk about crystals in depth. Okay, crystal herbal remedies, breath work, again with your breathing, Reiki. That's something that the Chinese often use, a method of healing. Traditional medicines like Ayurveda. Ayurveda comes from India. They do this over in the capital of India, more so, New Delhi. Okay, that's where they practice that. They consist of like herbal remedies and things like that. Chinese medicine, aromatherapy, meditation, visualization techniques, and so on and so on. And so visualization is very important when we talk about manifesting things. When we're talking about manifesting things, visualization is very important. You have to be able to see something in your mind, absolutely be able to see yourself having the desire that you're trying to manifest, or see yourself living the life that you're trying to manifest, or receiving, or already having, not receiving, but already having the things that you're trying to manifest. Visualization. I'll tell you a quick story, and I told someone this earlier today in a reading that I did for them. So there was a guy who was in a Tibetan prison for 7 years. And so as he sat in that prison, he was just thinking about all the things he wanted to do when he got out. And, one of the things that he'd always wanted to do was play golf. He'd always wanted to have that as a pastime. Now, he had not ever played golf, but as he sat there in that cell, he visualized himself for many, many days and years. He would visualize himself playing golf. And so when he finally got out 7 years later and he returned to the United States, he went to play a game of golf, and he was making all these holes in ones, and it's like the wind was perfect. Everything was just perfect. And it was because he visualized this. He saw this so many times. And for those of you who saw the movie The Secret, or if you read the book, then you'll know that there was a man in there, and I believe he was in a plane crash. I forget what type of accident he was in, because I saw that like over a decade ago. But it talks about manifestation, how you can create your own reality. And this man, he had all these broken bones. He was in the hospital for at least a year. And he would always constantly visualize himself getting up and walking out of that hospital by himself, without a wheelchair, without a walker. Visualize himself getting up and walking out of that hospital. And so a year later, he absolutely did. Because yes, King Lejeune says the mind is so powerful. Absolutely. The mind is absolutely powerful. And if you remember from back in the day, they used to have this commercial that said, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. It absolutely is. If you waste your mind, you can literally waste your life. And if you waste your life, honey, you're wasting your time. Because as I told you before, on your tombstone, when you leave here, there's 2 dates on there. It's the year of your birth and the year that you die. And in between, that's just a dash. That little small dash is the only amount of time that we're here. Life is short. I don't care if you live to be 100 years old. Life is short. When you think about how many millions and billions of years old the earth itself is. So life is very short. So all you have in between your year of birth and your year of death is that little dash. So you need to be living your dash, getting the most out of your existence while you're here. And just remember that the things you don't finish in this lifetime, you will have to come back and repeat them in the next. Now, you must understand that in the spiritual community, there needs to be more understanding that trying to heal is not always about healing. In fact, often healing is used as an excuse to deny, suppress, disown, or reject what we're going through. And that's what you shouldn't do. You see, some people, they don't understand the true power and need for healing and how it's to be used. And I say understand because you have to understand, you have to get this from your inner self. This is something you have to know from within yourself, not from someone else telling you and standing over you with authority, which is what understand means. You need to understand this. So, with that all being said, some people think healing is supposed to be used as an excuse to deny, suppress, disown, or reject something that they're going through. That's not what that is for. You don't use spiritual healing to try to forget the past. You don't use it to try to act as though traumatization that you've gone through has never existed. That's what you don't do. Because, like I said before, when you do those type of things, something later will trigger it, and then it comes back up. And so you realize that you didn't heal yourself. You didn't heal from it. Now, it's completely understandable to want to try and get rid of our suffering, particularly if we are exhausted and deeply wounded. Because some of us are emotionally scarred. There's things that happened to some of us when we were children that have scarred us even as we're adults. But here's the thing. Desperately trying to heal can actually exasperate your unhappiness and deepen your resistance to what's happening, thereby preventing you from actually healing. In other words, let me just give you an example. Some people want to block out things. They want to just try to forget things, like I said. And then when you do this, it can come back up later. Or there's some people who use drugs or alcohol, as a means of getting away from reality. Because when they're high or they're drunk, they don't focus on the problems and issues that they are going through. But when they come down off that high or they're sober, those things are still there. They haven't gone anywhere. So that's basically like just putting a Band-Aid on the wound when you need to find the cause of the issue and face it so that you can get better. Now, it is important for us to understand that true spiritual healing is about facing, acknowledging, exploring, and integrating what we are going through. It's not about trying to escape our reality. You cannot escape reality. It is here. It is right now in real time. We are living it. And you have to know the things that trigger you, the people who trigger you. You have to know that the things that have happened to you in the past do not determine your future unless you allow them to. And so with that all being said, there's no need to try to forget the things that happened. You shouldn't forget them. You should always remember these things because that will serve as lessons to you later on in life of what you need to do to prevent those things from happening again. You need to face them head on, deal with it, face your fears. You've heard that phrase before, right? And that's what you also do with things that are bothering you spiritually and mentally. You face those fears head on, and then you find out a way, you figure out a way to not only acknowledge it, but to find ways to work through it. And that is through your spirituality. Now, there is a such thing as dark spiritual teachers. Hold on, I think I skipped something. Did I talk about resistance? Hold on, beloved. Let me go back through these slides really quick. In the meantime, likes up. Everyone, please like and share. I think I may have put that slide in the wrong place. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay. So issue 1, I didn't preface that what I read by saying this. Issue 1, spiritual resistance. Okay, spiritual resistance. I think I skipped this slide completely. But so let's talk about it, okay? Because this is an issue that you need to think about and that you need to pay attention to when you're practicing your spiritual healing, okay? Spiritual resistance. I call this the first dark twin because there's actually two dark twins, and we'll get to the second one momentarily. What does spiritualized resistance mean? Well, basically, it means that sometimes we can use spiritual healing as an excuse to get rid of certain feelings, memories, and experiences that we've had. What's wrong with trying to banish or get rid of what we go through? Well, it's a form of resistance, and resistance leads to tremendous suffering, like anxiety, depression, anger, resentment, bitterness, etc. So maybe I did read that, but I didn't absorb it as I did. So I think I skipped it completely. But here's the thing. So let's just say, for example, if you are in a relationship and the relationship ends, if the relationship ends, right, and then you still long for this person, you still want this person, but they don't want you, well, you can tell yourself all types of negative things about them so that you'll, not want them, or so that you'll just fall out of love with them and things like that. But that doesn't really work because you're not being honest with yourself. The best thing to do is to be honest with yourself. Okay? You doing that can cause you to have depression, anger, or even resent the person and just be bitter. And we all know about bitter people and how they react, right? Because bitter people are mad and angry because things didn't go their way. So rather than doing that and just trying to ignore it or make excuses, or say things about the person in your own mind to make you have disdain for the person to the point that you no longer want them. Rather than doing that, ask yourself questions like, was this relationship beneficial to me? Was I getting the most out of it? Do I feel like the other person was giving me the equal energy and time that I was giving them? Is this relationship, was this ordained by the Most High? Did the Most High want me in this relationship? And the reason you should ask yourself that is because sometimes in life, the Most High tries to remove people and situations out of our presence because they're no good for us. But sadly, sometimes we ourselves cannot see it. And so we try to hold on to the very people or things or situations that we are supposed to be rid of, that the Most High is trying to take us away from. That is spiritual resistance. When you are trying to hold on to something that you should let go of, or when you're trying to deny something that you know absolutely is true, or when you're trying to run and hide from something that you know you need to face. That is spiritual resistance, and that is dangerous because it breeds contempt, anger, bitterness, anxiety, and more trauma down the line when things come back and trigger you. Okay, King Lejeune says, are you taking heed to what's being shown to you? Thank you, beloved. That's a good question to ask everyone. Okay, so now issue 2. Now this is the second thing that I call the second dark twin. Okay, and that is dark spiritual teachers. Now the second dark twin is perpetuated by spiritual healers and practitioners who are aware, either on a conscious or unconscious level, of the first dark twin of spiritual healing. They already know about the spiritual resistance that many people face. And these teachers will exploit that. Okay? These teachers are aware of the addictive quality of the push and pull game of eternal self-improvement, and they use it for their own self-gain. So what they will do is, if they know that you are experiencing spiritual resistance, if they know that you're afraid to face something, if they know that you're trying to hide from something or you just want to ignore something, they'll use that because they'll just keep telling you a bunch of BS, that's not going to serve you, not going to help you get past these things, but it'll just keep you coming back to them. And then you become dependent upon them. Don't believe everyone who claims they receive downloads. Now, I see this all the time. It's prevalent in people who believe they must pay big bucks to manifest their desires or to keep their vibration high, and basically to accumulate more and more, as if who they are and what they have isn't already enough. Now, when does this getting and being more actually end? It's an internal cycle that leads to suffering, like a hamster in a wheel. It simply goes on in circles. That's just all it is. So, in other words, there are some people who, like I told you, they'll say that they're spiritual, supernatural, and they absolutely will be, but not on the spirituality that you're talking about. They will be nefarious people who are just using words of trickery. They're casting spells with words and all of that to deceive you. And it's a money grab, okay? And then they'll just keep having you in a perpetual cycle of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And there's never any end to it. They just keep you coming back for more because that's how they get paid. And they're not trying to help you at all. And like I said, the best way to figure these people out or to be onto them is to use discernment. Pray for discernment. Go with your gut instinct. Now, some of them are narcissists who will try to control your thinking. And then, of course, you have the more sinister breed of spiritual teachers who appear divine and act like they're so enlightened on the surface, but they're just raging megalomaniacs underneath. A true spiritual teacher will always give your power back to you. But a false spiritual teacher will not only parade around wearing your codependency like a crown, but they will also actively encourage it. Let me just give you all an example. There's someone on YouTube, and I'm not going to say their name, but many of you probably know exactly who they are. This person hosts spiritual webinars, and they always try to make the people that are attending these webinars feel as though they need them. Oh, you need me. I can tell you about the divine power of manifestation. I'm going to manifest this, that, and the third. And what they're doing is they're feeding these people the idea that the only way you can manifest things are through them and through their spiritual gifts, which they don't have any spiritual gifts, trust me. So with that all being said, here's the thing. I always tell you that you can manifest your own reality. You can manifest and design your destiny. You give yourself positive affirmations. I tell you, that's why it's called self-esteem, because it's what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself should, in fact, be more important to you than what other people think of you. Don't let anyone make you feel codependent or feel like they're the one that's going to come to save you and get you out of the rut you're in and want you to praise them for showing you the light, because at the end of the day, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. And you should teach other people as you learn about spiritual practices, right? And with that all being said, don't let these false spiritual teachers who foolishly call themselves gurus and all of that and goddesses when they're none of that, but don't let them sit there and tell you a bunch of BS, and have you feeling that, oh, only if you pay $168 or if you pay $200 or whatever, then that's the only way you're going to get these downloads. That's the only way you're going to be able to do all these things. Especially and specifically, here's how you can tell these people are fraudulent. If someone has a known illness, now, if someone is ill and they have an illness or whatever that they can't get rid of, and they're telling you they can heal you of certain things, and they're getting downloads and they have spiritual, supernatural powers and all that. Well, if you had, and then they can download the codes to the DNA and the God particle. Well, if you could actually do all of that, why haven't you done it for everybody that's melanin blessed? Why would you charge people for that? Do you not know that if I unlock the codes to the DNA and all of that, I would give it to you absolutely for free? Why would I dare charge you? And what about the people who couldn't afford it? Would I just not give it to them because they were broke or whatever? At the end of the day, if you're truly trying to help people, and especially your own people, you would absolutely give them the codes to unlocking their own DNA if, in fact, you even had it. But so pay attention to people who tell you these lies. Thank you, Eileen, beloved, for your super sticker contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. So you have to be careful because there are so many people who are just trying to make a dollar. And they don't care about the lies they tell you. They don't care if they're giving you misinformation or any of those things. So now, as I was saying, these false spiritual teachers will not only parade around wearing your codependency like a crown, but they will also actively encourage it. They will purport to have the power to heal all of your issues and provide you with one true path towards enlightenment, illumination, self-realization, or oneness. And if you believe them, you will be ensnared in a dangerous web of believing that someone outside of yourself can offer you salvation. And that's not up to anyone outside of you. That's what you do for yourself. Nicole said for a small fee of only $59.99. Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. These are the things they will tell you. So you need to come to them to get your salvation and to be spiritually enlightened and tuned. That's a lie. That's a lie. You can do it yourself. The power is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. You are born of the Most High, and you are all God. So with that all being said, think of it like this. When you have children, for those of you who have children, your children either look like you or your mates, right? They either look like the mother or father, or they have the same characteristics and traits as the mother or father. They may be, they may have brown eyes like the mother. They may have the father's quick sense of humor, be witty. They may be very intelligent and quick to learn like the mother. These are characteristics and traits that our children get through our DNA, and it's passed on to us. So if we are made by the Most High, we have some of the Most High's traits and characteristics. Now, we don't know what the Most High looks like. I'll tell you what the Most High looks like for you. Look in the mirror. You are your own Most High when you rise into your higher self, your God-like self. Okay? Now, with that all being said, when you're at one with yourself, the power of I am. When you say the words I am, whatever comes after that is what you are and what you become. I am great. I am successful. When you say these positive things about yourself, you are creating your own reality. You are putting these things and thoughts in your head and making them into electromagnetic energy, right? You are vibrating at the same frequency as the Earth's crust, known as the Schumann resonance, which I told you all about before. So you don't need someone else outside of you. The Most High dwells within you. That's why when we pray consciously, or we pray without speaking out loud. Sometimes we pray out loud, but as usually when we're praying by ourselves, we just pray quietly, right? In our mind. We pray subconsciously and consciously, and we also pray with telekinesis without saying a word. That's because the Most High is consciousness. And so the Most High hears your thoughts. So you don't need someone outside of you to manifest these things. And in fact, the Most High has given us all the ability to manifest things ourselves. So you don't even need to have the Most High manifest things for you. All you need to do is pray to the Most High for the gift of discernment and to sharpen and enhance your spiritual gifts and to give you the ability, or to allow you to know and see that you have the ability to manifest things and create your own reality. Ayan Mod says talking to yourself. Absolutely. I always tell people, yes, I talk to myself all the time, especially when I want an expert opinion. Because I'm the expert of me. I know more about me than anyone other than the Most High. And so do you about yourself. So you don't need someone coming to you talking about they're a guru and a goddess and all this. And they've got all these downloads and they can unlock your DNA codes and this and that. Honey, if you could, you'd heal yourself and you'd share those codes with everyone collectively so that we could all do it in unison and then rule the world. Okay? And then rule the world. You can unlock your own DNA codes. Pray for discernment, work on your spiritual gifts, raise your vibrations, your levels of consciousness, all of that, raise the Kundalini energy, or as I call it, the Christ-like energy. And when you do those things, you can unlock your own DNA codes. You don't need me to do it for you. You're supposed to do it yourself anyway. And it is not supposed to be a price for you to do it. No one's supposed to be charging you for things like that. And that's just fact. Now, when spiritual healing is used as a way to avoid, deny, or suppress and disown our issues through spiritualized resistance, we are abusing its potential. And when spiritual healing is used as a dangling carrot by unethical and unwise and false and fictitious spiritual teachers, then it is being desecrated. Okay? This is what these people are doing when they're out here lying, right? Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. Let me correct this. I have a typo. Doesn't mean the damage never existed. It simply means the damage no longer controls our lives. And that's a quote by Akshay Dubey. Let me say that again. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. it means the damage no longer controls our lives. So with that all being said, that's why you don't have to try to block out certain things that happen to you in life. At the same time, you don't have to harp on them either. But what you do need to do is acknowledge them. You have to acknowledge them, these things that happened, that have traumatized you, left you scarred emotionally or mentally. You have to acknowledge these things so that you can work through them. That's what you have to do. True and authentic healing. Well, true spiritual healing is about facing, acknowledging, exploring, and integrating what we are going through. It's not about trying to escape reality. It's really as simple as that. So just think of it this way. Just think of it like this. If you have an open wound, would you really achieve much by covering your eyes and pretending that it's not there and trying to just ignore it? No, because when you open your eyes, it's still there. Now, the pain or infection would still be there. Would you really heal by pretending the wound wasn't yours or by making it someone else's responsibility to look after? That goes back to the point I made about a broken relationship. When you're with somebody and the relationship goes bad or goes left, and then you sit there and tell yourself, just try to justify it in your own mind so that you don't have to feel bad or like it's your fault, or so that you can just, fall out of love with the person so you don't have to grieve the loss of the relationship. And you start telling yourself negative things about them that you know aren't true, but you try to make yourself believe these things. That's not going to suit you. That's not going to suit you, because at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility for yourself and for your actions if you did anything that caused the relationship to fail. Don't try to blame it on the other person. You'd still carry that wound with you everywhere. That's the thing. You see, if you're in a relationship that goes left and then you sit up there and try to blame everything on the other person, except no accountability or the part that you played in it, then you carry that into the next relationship. You're still doing the same thing that caused you problems in the first one. And I'm not saying that anytime you're in a relationship that goes bad, it's your fault. What I'm saying is sometimes it can be your fault, and you may not realize it, or you may not want to even acknowledge it. You may want to just blame it on somebody else. That's what lots of people do. They want to blame things on everybody else. It's not my fault. They did this, they did that. But if you don't own it and accept it for what it is, you find yourself carrying that into another relationship. Now the same problems are happening again, and you can never find happiness and peace of mind. And then you start to wonder, why is this happening to me? Why is every relationship I have failed? Why am I not enough? Why is everything always going wrong for me? I prayed and I asked God to send me a good mate, but I don't get one. God's not answering my prayers. You have to answer your own prayers. The Most High has given you all the spiritual tools that you need for you to answer your own prayers. All you have to do is believe, manifest, be disciplined, visualize, and have faith. Not only in yourself, but in what you can do. Rather than run from your problems, see them through. That is a poem that I wrote years ago. That's a line from a poem. But at the end of the day, it's absolutely relevant and pertinent to this scenario. Now, you'd still carry that wound with you everywhere. It wouldn't go away anytime soon. The only way to heal that wound is to face it, accept it, and find ways of alleviating your suffering, not as a way of trying to escape your reality, but as a form of self-love. Okay, this to me is the true definition of spiritual healing. So when it comes to spiritual healing, please be mindful of these traps and practice healthy caution, and critical thinking skills and radical self-honesty are vital in this day and age. And I always talk to you about critical thinking skills, right? You absolutely have to be using those. Resisting your reality, even in a spiritual way, will only serve to deepen your suffering. The only way out is through. You need to go to the core and roots of your issues in order for you to heal them. And so with that all being said, this concludes this PowerPoint. And I hope that you all got something out of that. I hope everyone, hey, Bronze Flat Power King, Amir, TM1. All right, Bronze Flat Power King, I haven't seen you in a minute. Okay, so I'm sure you've been watching, but just not in the chat like it. So with that all being said, TM1 says even more reasons to unite. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Amir says women have these powers. Make me fall off my cloud. Right. Women are inherently more spiritual, have more spiritual gifts than men. And that's just the fact. And you should know this because the Most High has entrusted us to bring life in this world from the spiritual realm. We bring life into this world. That's because we are divinely high spiritual beings. Okay? And so, with that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning into this broadcast. I feel like it was much needed. Claudette says, thank you, Queen, so much. I needed it. Well, you're welcome, beloved. Nicole says, yes, I did. Thanks, Queen. You are appreciated. Gratitude. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. And so, with that all being said, we all have to work on our spiritual healing. It could be something small, it could be something big, but at the end of the day, you have to own it and you have to face it and you have to acknowledge it. Don't ignore it. Don't just try to put it in the back of your mind. Put it at the forefront and know that this is an obstacle that I am going to overcome. This is not going to hold me back any longer. I will face my fears and I will defeat them. And that's what you can do. Remember, fear is nothing but false evidence appearing real. Okay? And so with that all being said, don't run from problems. Face them. Meet them head on. All right? And with that all being said, I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. I hope you enjoy the rest of this lovely day. Cherokee Descendadale says, thank you, Queen. I needed this. Well, you're welcome, beloved. Goodness Rated Bo says, that was a wonderful session. Thank you. You're welcome, beloved. You're welcome. Amir says, I love all y'all mother suckers. And we love you right, Black. Okay? Mr. Mystical Black Realm says, I certainly appreciate and agree with those in the chat. Thank you, beloved. So everyone have a beautiful rest of your day. I love you all to life. Do something productive and constructive, never destructive. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. And be the change. Be the evolution that you want to see. All right? The change starts with you. If we can't change our minds, we can't change our lives, we can't change our circumstances. The first things we have to do sometimes is to change our minds. And some of us are afraid of change. But you have to step out on faith and do what the Most High has designated you to come to this realm to do. All right, with that all being said, I will talk to you all again soon. I hope to see you all in the chat in the morning for your morning wake-up call.
Thank you.